In today's ever-changing world, those who master the art of negotiation will hold the key to dazzling success. Negotiation is not merely about making deals. It is a strategic game of the mind, resilience, and refined subtlety. From deep listening, maintaining personal value, to mastering the skills of strategic refusal and subtle threat, every move determines whether you become a victor or a vanquished. This is not just a survival skill, but the very foundation to build an enduring empire. Get ready to break through all mental limits and elevate your personal strength through this transformative journey. Now, let's embark on the journey to uncover the supreme principles of negotiation, where every word and every decision marks the beginning of the magnificent destiny you are destined to own. Negotiation is not just a set of techniques, it is a way of thinking, a battle of strategic minds. Many people mistakenly believe that negotiation is all about arguing for the best price. But true masters know that negotiation is a mental game. Before you sit down at the table, victory or defeat is already determined by your mindset. If you approach negotiation with fear, hesitation, or the desire to please, you have already lost half the battle. Only those who think strategically, boldly, and with long-term vision can truly dominate every negotiation they enter. The core of a strategic mindset in negotiation lies in understanding that you are never begging for a deal. You are offering value. You are the prize. When you step into any negotiation, thinking you need the deal more than the other party, you surrender your power before the conversation even begins. Strategic thinkers see themselves as value creators. They know that their time, resources, and energy are assets, not burdens. They negotiate from a position of confidence, clarity, and unwavering self-respect. This shift in mentality changes everything, from your words to your posture. Another critical element is viewing negotiation as a process of value exchange, not a competition of tricks. A transaction where both sides win will always last longer than a deal where one side feels cheated. Strategic negotiators do not seek to squeeze every last drop from the other party. They aim to build bridges, not burn them. Every agreement they reach is not just about profit. It is about establishing trust, building reputation, and opening doors to greater opportunities in the future. Value-oriented negotiation creates abundance, not scarcity. The strategic mindset also requires you to embrace flexibility without compromising your core goals. Rigidity is the enemy of successful negotiation. A master negotiator moves like water, adaptable, responsive, but always flowing toward their objective. Flexibility does not mean weakness. It means being smart enough to maneuver around obstacles instead of crashing into them. Every negotiation encounter will present unexpected turns. Those who resist change get stuck. Those who flow with intelligence and purpose find ways to win even in seemingly unfavorable conditions. Adaptability is strategic strength in motion. Furthermore, strategic negotiation demands that you separate emotions from decisions. When emotions run high, judgment is clouded, and costly mistakes follow. A master negotiator knows how to acknowledge emotions without letting them dictate their moves. Staying calm under pressure is not an optional trait. It is the baseline standard. Emotional control is what allows you to see clearly, to listen attentively, and to strike precisely at the right moments. It is the armor that protects you from manipulation and the compass that guides you toward wise, profitable agreements. One of the most powerful strategic realizations is understanding that negotiation is not about proving who is smarter or stronger. It is about crafting the best possible outcome for your vision. Strategic negotiators do not waste time trying to impress others with their intellect. Instead, they focus relentlessly on results. They know that every second spent on ego battles is a second lost from creating real value. Humility, paired with sharp focus, becomes an unstoppable force. In negotiation, the silent power of intent is often stronger than the loud clamor of arrogance. Ultimately, the core foundation of negotiation boils down to one word: leverage. Leverage comes from having options. Leverage comes from preparation, reputation, and the ability to walk away. Strategic negotiators never trap themselves into needing any single deal. They know that desperation smells and it repels opportunity. The more independent you are emotionally and financially, the more magnetic your presence becomes in negotiation rooms. True power lies not in demanding, but in quietly knowing that you can say no at any time and meaning it. That is the unshakable foundation of negotiation supremacy. To cultivate this core mindset, you must practice it daily, in every conversation, every deal, and every relationship. Negotiation is not just a skill reserved for boardrooms and billion-dollar contracts. It happens every day, in the way you communicate with clients, partners, even friends and family. Every small negotiation is a training ground for greater battles ahead. Treat each encounter as an opportunity to sharpen your mindset, to strengthen your strategic thinking, and to refine your ability to create winning outcomes. With every step, you are forging the mental armor needed to ascend to the pinnacle of negotiation mastery. Negotiation is not a simple game of bargaining. It is a profound discipline with multiple levels of mastery. Understanding these levels allows you to navigate every negotiation with clarity and strategic precision. Without this roadmap, you are like a blind traveler in a maze, hoping for luck instead of creating outcomes. Every successful deal, every fruitful partnership, and every breakthrough starts with knowing exactly where you stand and where you need to go. Let us delve deeply into the 4 levels of negotiation so that you can ascend from reactive amateur to commanding strategist. This is the foundation for all future victories. The first level is the breakdown of negotiation, the worst possible outcome. This occurs when both parties refuse to compromise, relationships are shattered, and conflict escalates to lawsuits or public battles. When negotiations collapse, everyone loses, regardless of who is technically right. Financial loss, emotional damage, and burned bridges are inevitable. Even if you win the case, you lose something greater: future opportunities, trust, and mutual respect. This level should be avoided at all costs. True mastery lies not in winning battles, but in preventing war altogether. A scorched earth leaves no victors, only regret and wasted potential. The second level is the adversarial game, also known as zero-sum negotiation. In this model, one party's gain is automatically the other's loss. Every point you win is a point the other side forfeits. While this approach can sometimes yield short-term victories, it is extremely destructive in the long run. No one likes to work with someone who only thinks of their own benefit. You may profit once, but you will lose future opportunities. Strategic negotiators think in terms of harvests, not single crops. Winning the relationship is far more valuable than winning a single moment of advantage. The third level is win-win negotiation, where both parties cooperate and make concessions to create mutual benefit. Although neither side may maximize profit, both sides walk away feeling satisfied. This builds long-term alliances and opens the door for continued collaboration. In business and life, sustainability trumps short-term exploitation. The true wealth lies not in squeezing everything today, but in nurturing relationships that yield prosperity over decades. Strategic negotiators prioritize durability over immediate gratification. They understand that shared victories build reputations that eventually compound into unstoppable empires. Cooperation breeds influence, and influence multiplies wealth far beyond one-off gains. The fourth and highest level is advantage negotiation, the realm of true masters. Here, the goal is not merely for both parties to win, but for the other party to feel they have won even more. You structure the deal so that the counterpart believes they have gained the upper hand, while in reality, you have secured your strategic objectives. This level requires supreme psychological insight and emotional control. It is not about deceiving others, but about constructing a reality where everyone feels victorious. This is how legendary negotiators build massive ecosystems of loyal allies and unlimited opportunities. At this highest level, giving up a small share of immediate gains often leads to exponential returns over time. By consciously allowing your partners to enjoy a greater portion, you become the most sought-after ally. People will compete for the privilege to work with you because you are perceived as fair, generous, and trustworthy. The real asset in negotiation is not the deal itself. It is the people who want to deal with you again and again. Strategic generosity is a secret weapon few understand, but those who master it hold the keys to limitless leverage and influence. In every negotiation, you must decide, do you want to win a transaction or build a legacy? Those who obsess over short-term wins often find themselves isolated and mistrusted. Those who invest in relationships, even at the cost of immediate profits, eventually dominate the entire landscape. Power in negotiation is not seized, it is accumulated through consistent credibility, reputation, and emotional intelligence. Every conversation, every handshake, every deal plants a seed. Plant seeds of trust and abundance, and your future harvest will be greater than you can imagine. Mastering negotiation is mastering the architecture of your destiny. True negotiation mastery begins when you shift your perspective from "how can I win" to "how can we both thrive." This shift transforms negotiation from a battlefield into a symphony of creation. You are no longer playing defense. You are composing a future where alliances, opportunities, and wealth multiply organically. The highest purpose of negotiation is not conquest, it is expansion. It is to lift yourself and everyone around you onto a higher plane of prosperity. When you master these 4 levels, you do not just succeed, you ascend. You become the architect of abundance, the commander of collaboration, and the visionary of infinite growth. One of the core principles of negotiation is daring to make bold requests. Many people fail not because they lack talent, but because they are afraid to ask for what they truly want. Fear of rejection chains them to small deals and small lives. In negotiation, success favors the bold. Those who dare to ask high, demand confidently, and propose assertively set the tone for the entire negotiation. A weak opening condemns you to a weak outcome. If you start with hesitation, you signal that you are willing to settle for less. Boldness is the gatekeeper of negotiation triumphs. When making a bold request, always aim higher than your real target. Strategic negotiators know that initial offers create psychological anchors. By setting a high starting point, you create a negotiating space where compromises still land favorably for you. For example, if you want to buy something for $50,000, you might initially offer $30,000. This gives room for adjustments while keeping you within your desired range. Never aim directly at your goal in the first move. The dance of negotiation relies on movement, not rigidity. Your first offer is a weapon, not a surrender. Wield it with strategy and precision. Moreover, bold requests open doors to unexpected advantages. Sometimes, the other party may accept your bold terms outright because you never truly know their real cost structure or desperation level. What you perceive as daring might seem perfectly reasonable to them. In many cases, sellers or providers build wide margins into their pricing. By daring to negotiate boldly, you uncover hidden spaces of value that timid negotiators never access. Those who only ask for reasonable things live in small, safe cages. Those who dare to ask big live in a world of expanded possibilities. However, boldness must be tempered with tact. A bold request should never feel like an insult. It must be delivered with confidence, but also with a tone of respect and openness. If you come across as arrogant or dismissive, you destroy rapport and trigger resistance. Remember, negotiation is a dance, not a duel. Every bold offer you make should invite further conversation, not shut it down. Think of boldness as a door you open wide, not a wall you slam down. When delivered correctly, a bold proposal intrigues, challenges, and magnetically pulls the other party into engagement. Alongside bold requesting, strategic offering is equally critical. Strategic offers involve giving the other side something desirable, but on your terms. You create an offer that feels like a win for them while advancing your true interests. This tactic requires understanding their needs, fears, and unspoken desires. The best strategic offers frame your proposal as a solution to their deepest concerns. You are not just negotiating for price or conditions, you are solving their problems. When you position yourself as the solution bringer, you gain immense leverage. People will bend over backward to work with someone who seems to fulfill their hidden needs. A key to crafting powerful strategic offers is to always preserve negotiation space. Never present your offer as final. Always hint that there is room for flexibility. This triggers a psychological response that keeps the conversation alive. When people believe they can influence the outcome, they stay engaged. When they sense finality, they either accept under pressure or walk away entirely. Strategic negotiators master the art of conditional flexibility, appearing open while steering toward pre-planned objectives. This subtlety transforms negotiations from rigid battles into fluid victories. Every offer you make is a net you cast to draw the other side deeper into commitment. Also, never immediately accept the first offer from the other party. Instant acceptance weakens your position and breeds regret. If you agree too quickly, the other side will suspect they could have gotten a better deal. Worse, they may resent you for tricking them into agreeing too fast. Always show hesitation. Ask questions, request clarification. Even if the offer is good, take time to consider. Your value in negotiation rises not just from what you say, but how you behave. Strategic hesitation buys you respect, leverage, and often better terms without you even having to ask explicitly. In mastering bold requests and strategic offers, you shift from being a passive participant to an active creator of outcomes. You move the negotiation according to your plan, rather than reacting to others' moves. Every bold request you make sharpens your courage. Every strategic offer you craft refines your intelligence. Together, they forge a negotiation style that is irresistible, powerful, and transformative. Negotiation, at its core, is an art form. A masterpiece built stroke by stroke through daring requests and brilliant offers. When you master this dual dance, you no longer chase opportunities. You attract them effortlessly into your world. Negotiation is not only a game of logic, it is deeply intertwined with psychology. True masters understand that shaping the opponent's perception is far more effective than merely presenting facts. In every negotiation, it is not the actual conditions that determine the outcome. It is how both parties perceive those conditions. Winning begins when you seize control of how the other side feels, thinks, and interprets the unfolding situation. If you can guide their emotional reactions without them realizing it, you turn negotiation from a contest into a choreography, where they dance willingly to your rhythm. One of the most powerful techniques is to create the illusion of value. Perceived value outweighs real value in most negotiations. When you can make the other side believe they are gaining something extraordinary, even if the cost to you is minimal, you win without resistance. In negotiation, psychology is your silent weapon. Build an image of your offer as rare, urgent, or uniquely beneficial, and people will chase you instead of you chasing them. When they believe they are seizing an irreplaceable opportunity, price objections evaporate and hesitation melts away. Belief shapes behavior faster than facts ever could. Another critical psychological tactic is framing. The way you present options matters more than the options themselves. For instance, instead of saying, "This costs $1,000, you might say, "For just $3 a day, you can own this for a year." Same price, different perception. The human brain responds more strongly to relative framing than to absolute numbers. Strategic negotiators frame offers to emphasize gains, minimize losses, and shift focus toward desirable outcomes. Mastering framing means mastering the battlefield of the mind. It allows you to guide choices without triggering defensive barriers, achieving persuasion without pressure. Another subtle domination technique is creating a sense of choice. People hate feeling forced. However, if you present multiple options, all strategically favorable to you, they feel empowered while still moving within the boundaries you have set. Offering choices such as Plan A, Plan B, or Plan C, all of which align with your goals, creates an illusion of control. The key is ensuring that whatever path they choose, it leads to your victory. When done masterfully, they will even thank you for letting them decide freely, never realizing you have been steering the outcome from the start. In negotiation, silence is another weapon of psychological domination. After making an offer or asking a key question, those who speak first often lose ground. Silence creates discomfort, and most people rush to fill it with concessions, explanations, or lowered demands. Master negotiators use silence as a shield and a sword. They stay calm, let the tension build, and allow the other side's anxieties to work in their favor. A well-timed silence can achieve more than 1,000 persuasive words. In negotiation, words are important, but silence, when wielded expertly, is pure power. Equally crucial is understanding the principle of contrast. If you present an initial offer that seems extreme, then follow with a more moderate proposal, the second option will seem much more reasonable by comparison. This psychological trick primes the other party to say yes without even realizing it. You shift their internal standard of normal through deliberate contrast. Strategic negotiators use this method to make their real targets look more appealing. It is not manipulation. It is intelligent architecture of perception. You are not forcing them, you are reshaping their frame of reference to naturally favor your position. Furthermore, strategic vulnerability is an advanced psychological tactic. By selectively revealing minor weaknesses or making small concessions, you disarm the other party's defenses. They begin to trust you, lowering their guard and opening themselves up to influence. However, this must be done surgically, not with clumsy oversharing or emotional dumping. True strategic vulnerability is a dance. You show just enough to seem human, relatable, and trustworthy while keeping your core strength hidden. It is a balance of authenticity and control. Done right, it magnifies your persuasive power while keeping you firmly in command of the negotiation flow. Mastering psychological domination in negotiation does not mean manipulating others unethically. It means understanding human behavior so deeply that you can guide conversations toward optimal outcomes for both sides. When you operate at this level, negotiation stops feeling like conflict. It becomes a process of orchestrating perceptions, emotions, and desires with precision. You create invisible pathways that others walk without resistance. You do not overpower. You inspire alignment. In this way, you transcend crude tactics and enter the realm of true mastery, where negotiation becomes not just a skill, but a subtle art form shaping destinies. In negotiation, winning does not always mean taking everything. True masters understand that sometimes, yielding strategically leads to even greater victories. A well-timed concession can unlock doors that brute force never could. When you make concessions deliberately, you do not lose power, you multiply it. Strategic concessions create trust, lower defenses, and invite reciprocation. They transform the atmosphere from competition to collaboration. Every concession you offer must serve a larger purpose. You are not giving away value, you are investing in influence. Real negotiation artists know that every small step back can be leveraged into a giant leap forward. The first rule of strategic concessions is simple: never give without getting something in return. Every time you make a concession, attach a request or condition to it. This principle, called conditional concession, prevents you from appearing weak or desperate. It frames your flexibility as generosity, not surrender. For example, if you agree to lower your price, ask for faster payment terms in return. If you agree to a delivery extension, request a larger order commitment. Strategic negotiators always turn concessions into opportunities to rebalance power in their favor. Concessions are not charity, they are calculated exchanges. Timing is also crucial. Never give your biggest concession too early. If you reveal your flexibility at the beginning, you kill your leverage. Always let the other side feel some struggle before rewarding them with a concession. This struggle creates a sense of achievement, making them value the concession more. Humans appreciate what they work for. When concessions come too easily, they are taken for granted. Strategic negotiators let tension build, allowing the opponent to sweat a little before relieving that tension with a carefully crafted concession that earns maximum gratitude and strengthens their influence. Moreover, the way you present a concession matters immensely. Never minimize it. Frame every concession as a significant sacrifice, even if it costs you little. When you downplay your concessions, you diminish their perceived value. Instead, express that the concession was a difficult decision made to maintain the relationship or to demonstrate goodwill. This psychological framing makes the other party feel indebted to you, increasing their willingness to reciprocate. Strategic presentation transforms even small gestures into powerful levers of influence. Negotiation is not about facts. It is about perceptions, emotions, and unspoken debts created through every interaction. Strategic concession also requires understanding the opponent's hidden priorities. Sometimes you can offer a concession that seems large, but is relatively insignificant to your true objectives. By giving ground on issues that matter more to them than to you, you buy massive goodwill at a minimal cost. Information is power. The more you know about what the other side truly values, the more precise and efficient your concessions become. Strategic negotiators gather intelligence constantly, probing for insights, and then deploying concessions like precision weapons. hitting emotional targets while preserving their own strategic core untouched. Another secret is asymmetrical concession. Instead of giving and taking equally, smart negotiators structure exchanges where their concessions appear generous but actually cost them less than what they gain. For instance, you might extend a delivery timeline, costing you little, in exchange for a massive upfront payment, benefiting you greatly. The art lies in making it look balanced while subtly skewing the real value towards your advantage. True mastery is not about equal exchange. It is about creating perceived fairness while accumulating hidden advantages. Asymmetrical concessions are the invisible engines that drive negotiation victories without raising alarms. Strategic negotiators also understand when to stage their concessions. Instead of offering one large concession, break it into smaller pieces, delivering them over time. This magnifies their psychological impact. Each small concession reignites feelings of gratitude and obligation in the other party. Instead of one moment of appreciation, you create a series of emotional peaks. Humans respond to repeated gestures far more strongly than to a single act. In negotiation, perception shapes reality. By sequencing concessions skillfully, you sculpt the emotional landscape, keeping the counterpart engaged, appreciative, and increasingly willing to meet your final terms. Ultimately, strategic concessions are not signs of weakness. They are instruments of supreme strength. Master negotiators understand that control is not maintained by rigidly resisting every request, but by orchestrating a symphony of deliberate gives and takes. Concessions are chess moves, not losses. They reposition the board, open new paths, and trap opponents into deeper engagement. True power is subtle, fluid, and adaptable. Strategic concessions do not erode your position, they elevate it. They transform negotiation from a tug-of-war into a graceful dance, where you lead effortlessly, and others follow without realizing whose tune they are moving to. Negotiation is a battlefield of perceptions, not merely facts. The first impression you create often anchors the entire conversation. Anchoring is the psychological phenomenon where the initial number or idea introduced heavily influences all subsequent thinking. Strategic negotiators use this to their advantage by setting strong anchors early. The initial offer, the first framing of value, even the tone of the opening conversation, each establishes a psychological baseline. Whoever sets the anchor first controls the battlefield. Whether it is price, timing, or conditions, strong anchoring frames the negotiation in your favor and forces the other side to operate within your structure. A powerful anchor is bold but believable. Set it too low or too high without logic, and you lose credibility. The best anchors are wrapped in rational explanations, data points, or emotional narratives. People rarely challenge an anchor if it sounds reasonable on the surface. Strategic negotiators master the art of making ambitious numbers seem inevitable. They present their anchor confidently, without defensiveness, allowing it to settle into the opponent's mind as the new normal. Anchoring is not about manipulation. It is about leadership. It is about guiding the mental framing before the other side even realizes a negotiation has begun. Alongside anchoring, tactical silence is an often overlooked yet devastatingly effective weapon. After setting an anchor or making a key point, silence amplifies its impact. Humans are wired to fill silence with words, often words that weaken their position. Master negotiators embrace silence as a tool. They resist the urge to explain, justify, or soften their statements. Instead, they let their words echo and force the other party to react. Silence is uncomfortable, but within that discomfort, control shifts. Whoever can endure silence longer wins the negotiation. Silence is not emptiness. It is pressure applied without force. Moreover, silence after a demand often leads to concessions without further effort. When you state a condition or price, remain absolutely silent. Let the other party squirm under the psychological pressure. More often than not, they will start offering better terms without you needing to say anything more. Negotiators who talk too much often negotiate against themselves, revealing weaknesses, lowering demands, and destroying leverage. Master negotiators understand that every word spoken after a strategic point dilutes its power. In negotiation, your silence speaks louder than your words, commanding respect, fear, and sometimes immediate compliance. However, tactical silence must be used with emotional intelligence. Silence deployed coldly can feel hostile. Silence deployed strategically feels powerful yet professional. Maintain a calm, patient, and slightly expectant demeanor. Do not glare, do not fidget, and do not seem aggressive. Instead, project quiet confidence, as if you know that your position is strong and worth considering. Tactical silence should be a calm space for the other party to process, but not a battlefield for ego clashes. Done correctly, it invites them to reconsider, adjust, and ultimately move closer to your terms. Mastery lies in the nuance of silent presence. Anchoring and silence also synergize beautifully. After setting a bold anchor, immediate silence magnifies its psychological weight. The human mind hates uncertainty. When you drop a powerful statement and then say nothing, the other party is forced to wrestle internally with it. They start negotiating against themselves, lowering their expectations and rationalizing compromises. Strategic negotiators engineer this internal turmoil deliberately. They understand that real battles are won not by overpowering opponents, but by guiding their internal dialogues. Silence after anchoring turns bold ideas from shocking suggestions into accepted realities. It reshapes the negotiation terrain invisibly, but irreversibly. A critical mindset during anchoring and silence is emotional detachment. You must not fear rejection or silence. When you anchor high and the other side reacts negatively, stay calm. Reactions are just part of the dance. Your emotional neutrality keeps you in control, while the other party experiences emotional turbulence. Strategic negotiators understand that silence is not passivity. It is active, invisible influence. You are not withdrawing from the battlefield. You are occupying it with presence, patience, and pressure. The power of silence lies in who can remain composed the longest under the weight of uncertainty. Mastering anchoring and tactical silence elevates negotiation from ordinary haggling to psychological artistry. These tools are subtle yet immensely powerful. They allow you to frame reality, command attention, and move discussions toward your advantage without visible confrontation. Anchoring sets the field. Silence shapes the battle. Together, they form an unstoppable duo that bends perceptions and decisions in your favor. True negotiation mastery is about mastering perception management. When you anchor boldly and embrace silence wisely, you no longer chase favorable terms, you create them effortlessly. Negotiation becomes a quiet storm where you reign supreme without ever raising your voice. Negotiation is often described as a battle of offers and counteroffers. But true masters know it is a battle of perceptions and leverage, often invisible to the untrained eye. Strategic bluffing is a tool that creates leverage without necessarily possessing it. It is not lying, it is shaping reality in the opponent's mind. Great negotiators project strength, options, and hidden advantages, even when they are negotiating from a weaker position. Bluffing is not deception when it is based on authentic confidence and intelligent framing. It is an art of suggestion, hinting at power without ever making reckless promises. Strategic bluffing starts with internal conviction. You must first believe in your own position. If you hesitate, fidget, or show nervousness, your bluff crumbles before it ever takes root. Bluffing is about projecting certainty. It is the invisible armor that protects your real vulnerabilities. Skilled negotiators radiate an unshakable aura that makes others second-guess their assumptions. Bluffing is not about saying, "I have alternatives." It is about making them feel you have better alternatives without having to state it outright. Confidence unspoken is more powerful than declarations shouted. The perception of strength often matters more than actual strength. Another powerful bluffing technique is creating the illusion of scarce opportunities. When others believe you have multiple offers or that your time is limited, they feel pressure to act quickly and favorably. Scarcity triggers urgency. The fear of losing something valuable often outweighs the desire to gain something new. Strategic negotiators hint at competing interests subtly, allowing the other party to infer it themselves. When people feel they are at risk of losing you, they bend over backward to secure the deal. True bluffing is about setting the emotional stage without needing to build elaborate lies. Invisible leverage also plays a crucial role. Often, your true power lies not in what you have, but in what they believe you have. Negotiation is rarely about objective reality. It is about the subjective perception of power. Before entering any negotiation, assess not just your strengths but also how you can magnify them in the opponent's eyes. A small advantage, strategically framed, can loom large. Conversely, enormous strengths poorly communicated can seem insignificant. Strategic negotiators craft narratives where their assets shine brightly, even if those assets are still developing. Perception becomes reality in the negotiation arena. Master bluffers also excel at controlling emotional tone. They never overreact, display desperation, or act aggressively. Emotional volatility exposes weakness. Calmness, on the other hand, signals strength. When you negotiate from a position of composed certainty, others start doubting their own strength. Silence, controlled body language, steady breathing, all contribute to the invisible pressure you exert. The less you seem to need the deal, the more others believe they need you. Emotional control is not a technique, it is the very foundation upon which strategic bluffing is built. Those who cannot master themselves will never master the negotiation table. Bluffing and invisible leverage are not about deceiving people into bad deals. They are about balancing the scales in a world where fear, doubt, and perception dominate reality. Every negotiation contains elements of uncertainty. The one who manages uncertainty most effectively wins. Strategic bluffing fills the gaps left by incomplete information, allowing you to navigate ambiguity with grace and power. It is about creating confidence where certainty is impossible. True negotiation masters are artists of ambiguity. They thrive in the unknown, crafting advantages where others see only chaos. Their secret weapon is not certainty, it is strategic suggestion. Timing is critical in bluffing. Deploy your strongest impressions at moments of maximum impact. When the other side hesitates, when they show uncertainty, or when a decision point looms, these are the moments to suggest unseen strength. Bluffing too early can seem arrogant. Bluffing too late may be useless. Great negotiators read emotional currents like seasoned sailors read the wind. They know when to tighten the sails and when to let them loose. Timing transforms a mere bluff into an unstoppable tide that carries your counterpart into making decisions favorable to you, almost without conscious resistance. Mastering strategic bluffing and visible leverage transforms you from a mere participant into the orchestrator of negotiations. You are no longer playing defense, you are setting the terms of battle. You operate with the quiet confidence of a chess master, moving unseen forces across the board while others react blindly. Strategic bluffing is not gambling, it is guided creation of reality. Invisible leverage is not luck, it is deliberate psychological architecture. When you master these arts, you command negotiations not through dominance, but through silent orchestration. You do not just win deals, you craft destinies with invisible hands. Negotiation mastery begins before the first word is spoken. Preemptive framing is the secret weapon that shapes how the other party interprets everything you say and do. It is about setting the lens through which they view the entire interaction. Strategic negotiators create narratives that position themselves favorably before the real negotiation even begins. If you frame yourself as trustworthy, competent, and reasonable, everything you propose afterward is filtered through that positive perception. If you fail to preemptively frame, you allow the other side's biases and fears to fill the vacuum. Whoever frames first owns the narrative. Effective preemptive framing uses subtle cues rather than overt declarations. Bragging about your strengths is clumsy and counterproductive. Instead, frame through behavior, environment, and implication. Dress, body language, the quality of your materials, all silently communicate status and credibility. Even small details, like confident handshakes or thoughtful listening, frame you as someone worth respecting. Strategic negotiators seed impressions early, allowing the opponent's mind to build favorable conclusions organically. Preemptive framing is an invisible current, gently steering perceptions without confrontation. True masters sculpt the battlefield so carefully that their opponents never realize they are fighting on terrain not their own. Psychological priming further enhances preemptive framing. Priming is the art of subtly influencing emotions, expectations, and thought patterns before the real negotiation begins. Strategic negotiators might share a success story, reference mutual connections, or mention shared values. These seeds blossom into trust, openness, and alignment. Priming prepares the subconscious mind to perceive proposals as reasonable and outcomes as desirable. It softens resistance before objections even arise. Negotiation is rarely won through arguments. It is won through emotional preconditioning. Priming transforms negotiation from a battle of wills into a dance of mutual convergence, choreographed before the first formal offer is made. One powerful priming technique is setting positive expectations. Before negotiations begin, plant the belief that an agreement is likely, beneficial, and near. Language like, "I'm confident we can find a win-win solution," or "people usually walk away happy from discussions like these," primes the opponent to expect success. Humans subconsciously seek to fulfill expectations placed upon them. When you prime the conversation with positivity, you lower defensiveness and encourage cooperative behavior. You are no longer seen as an adversary, but as a partner in solving a mutual problem. Priming turns potential battles into shared missions. Another priming tactic is identity reinforcement. People strive to act consistently with how they see themselves. If you subtly affirm the other party's positive self-image, like being fair, pragmatic, or visionary, they will work harder to behave in ways that align with that identity. Saying things like, "You've always struck me as someone who values fairness," subtly primes them to live up to that standard. Strategic negotiators never criticize or attack identity. They elevate it. When you make someone feel admired and respected, they will unconsciously seek to prove you right. Priming identity is a gentle but immensely powerful force. Environmental priming also plays a crucial role. Where and how you negotiate influences outcomes profoundly. Bright, open spaces promote openness. Tight, cramped settings can induce pressure. Strategic negotiators choose negotiation environments deliberately to match their objectives. Even background elements like colors, seating arrangements, or the availability of refreshments can prime emotional states. Nothing in negotiation is accidental for the true master. Every detail, every cue, every setting is a silent sculptor of mood and mindset. Environmental priming ensures that the emotional and psychological soil is fertile before the seeds of proposals are ever planted. Timing matters in priming. The earlier you start, the deeper the influence. Ideally, priming begins in the first casual interactions, well before formal talks commence. Casual conversations, pre-meeting emails, small gestures, all serve as priming opportunities. Think of priming like setting the temperature of a room. If you wait until people are uncomfortable, it is harder to restore comfort. If you set the right temperature from the start, everything flows smoothly. Strategic negotiators engineer emotional climates long before they ask for concessions. They win by preparing the mind before challenging the mind. Mastering preemptive framing and psychological priming elevates you from a tactical negotiator to a psychological architect. You are not merely reacting, you are designing outcomes. You shape perceptions, soften resistance, and create emotional momentum that carries negotiations to your desired destination. Preemptive framing plants the flag of influence before the battle begins. Psychological priming waters the soil of agreement before seeds are sown. When you master these arts, you cease to be a negotiator. You become a reality shaper. You no longer fight uphill battles. You choose the battles, design the terrain, and win without ever needing to raise your sword. Negotiation is a battlefield where every move must be calculated. The act of offering is not merely about numbers, it is a psychological strike. The first offer frames the conversation, establishes expectations, and creates psychological anchoring. Strategic negotiators always prepare their offers meticulously. A first offer that is too generous leaves value on the table. An offer that is too aggressive risks breaking rapport. The art lies in balancing ambition and plausibility. Every offer you make is a statement about your confidence, your intentions, and your mastery of the game. Strategic offers command respect and shape the negotiation terrain. Timing is equally critical. An offer made too early can reveal impatience. An offer made too late risks losing initiative. Strategic negotiators sense the perfect moment, when the emotional currents are right, when curiosity has built up, when the other side is leaning forward instead of retreating. Timing transforms good offers into irresistible offers. It is like harvesting a fruit at the peak of ripeness. Too early, it is bitter. Too late, it is rotten. perfect timing infuses the offer with power, credibility, and allure. Great negotiators do not just make offers, they orchestrate emotional readiness before presenting them. A masterful offer is rarely static. It is dynamic, adjusting subtly based on the counterpart's reactions. Skilled negotiators read micro-expressions, shifts in tone, and subtle hesitations. They fine-tune their offers in real time, moving gracefully between firmness and flexibility. Negotiation is not a rigid contest, it is a fluid dance. Every movement, every adjustment sends a message. Strategic negotiators know when to hold, when to soften, and when to amplify. Offers must breathe, evolve, and resonate with the emotional rhythms of the conversation. Flexibility does not mean weakness. It is the ultimate strength disguised as graceful adaptability. Counteroffers are not obstacles, they are opportunities. When the other side counters, they reveal valuable information, priorities, limits, hidden desires. Strategic negotiators welcome counteroffers, not with defensiveness, but with curiosity. Every counteroffer is a glimpse into the opponent's mind. Instead of rejecting counteroffers outright, skilled negotiators dissect them, finding leverage, crafting new paths forward. Counteroffers are not rejections. They are invitations to deeper dialogue. They signal engagement. They demonstrate that the other side has not walked away. A well-handled counteroffer transforms negotiation from confrontation to collaboration, and transforms opponents into reluctant allies moving toward your objectives. Strategic use of conditional offers further amplifies power. Conditional offers, statements like, "If you can do X, then I can do Y," create structured pathways toward agreement. They give the other side a sense of agency while guiding them within your designed framework. Conditional offers subtly shift responsibility onto the counterpart, making them feel ownership of the negotiation's outcome. They also allow strategic negotiators to protect themselves, never committing fully until conditions are met. Conditional offers create win-win illusions while maintaining hidden advantages. They transform rigid demands into collaborative challenges that psychologically bind the other side closer to your intended destination. Strategic negotiators also understand the psychology of escalation and retreat. Early offers are often ambitious. Subsequent retreats are framed as significant sacrifices, even when they were planned all along. Humans are wired to feel gratitude for perceived concessions. Each retreat, if presented skillfully, builds emotional obligation. The opponent feels you are meeting them halfway, prompting them to reciprocate. In truth, you are simply executing a pre-designed path. Escalation and retreat are not random, they are choreography. They move emotions like tides, pulling the counterpart deeper into engagement. Negotiation becomes not an argument, but an emotional journey that you secretly command. Emotional control during offers and counteroffers is critical. Every offer you make must be detached from your ego. Strategic negotiators do not fall in love with their positions. They see offers as tactical moves, not personal validations. Emotional attachment blinds judgment. Detachment sharpens perception. When an offer is rejected, they do not react with anger or desperation. They respond with calm curiosity, probing deeper, seeking hidden leverage. Emotional neutrality allows you to remain flexible, creative, and resilient. In negotiation, emotions are either your weapon or your downfall. Strategic negotiators master their emotions so they can master outcomes. Mastering offers, timing, and counteroffers transforms negotiation from a reactive exchange into a proactive orchestration. You no longer merely respond to circumstances, you design them. Every offer becomes a tool, every timing decision a lever, every counteroffer a doorway to deeper advantage. Negotiation stops being a contest of strength and becomes a contest of creativity, strategy, and psychological insight. You shape the battlefield invisibly. You lead the dance without pushing. Strategic mastery lies not in forcing outcomes, but in guiding minds, emotions, and perceptions until the destination you desire becomes the only path others can see. Negotiation is not just about deals, it is about life mastery. Every time you negotiate, you are building the skills that shape your financial destiny, your relationships, and your personal power. True negotiation mastery transcends tactics. It becomes a way of thinking, of moving through the world with intentional influence. When you master negotiation, you master perception, emotion, and reality itself. You stop reacting, you start creating. Wealth, success, and freedom are no longer accidents. They become engineered outcomes, sculpted with every strategic conversation. Negotiation is not a skill you use, it is the person you become. It is transformation embodied. Strategic wealth building through negotiation begins with a mindset shift. Stop seeing negotiation as conflict and start seeing it as opportunity creation. Every conversation holds hidden possibilities. Every interaction is a seed for future prosperity. Strategic negotiators plant those seeds deliberately. They understand that today's agreement is tomorrow's empire. Wealth builders negotiate not just for better prices, but for better relationships, better positioning, better leverage. They do not chase money, they attract opportunities through mastery of influence. True wealth is not accumulated, it is magnetized through the gravitational pull of negotiation excellence. You do not chase abundance, you become abundance. Influence is the core engine of strategic negotiation. Influence is not manipulation, it is leadership. It is the art of guiding minds and emotions toward alignment with your vision. Strategic negotiators influence by creating value, by understanding needs deeper than their counterparts understand themselves. They influence by listening, framing, timing, and positioning. Influence is not about overpowering, it is about inviting. It is about creating paths so attractive that others choose them willingly. In strategic wealth building, influence is the unseen hand that moves mountains. It is not force that builds empires, it is the invisible pull of irresistible influence. To elevate your negotiation to the highest levels, you must build layered influence. Surface-level influence is about charm and persuasion. Deep influence is about trust, reputation, and demonstrated value over time. Strategic negotiators invest in their long-term influence bank. They earn trust before they need it. They create reputations that negotiate for them before they even walk into the room. Layered influence means that every interaction, every commitment kept, every promise honored becomes a brick in the fortress of your authority. Negotiation mastery is not built in a moment. It is built conversation by conversation, deal by deal, legacy by legacy. Mindset resilience is also critical. Not every negotiation will succeed. Not every opponent will act rationally or honorably. Strategic negotiators anticipate setbacks without losing confidence. They see obstacles not as stop signs, but as detours to greater opportunities. Rejection is information. Failure is feedback. Strategic wealth builders reframe every experience into fuel for mastery. They do not crumble, they evolve. Negotiation is not for the faint-hearted. It is for those willing to refine themselves under pressure, to embrace uncertainty, and to emerge sharper, stronger, and wiser each time. Strategic negotiators are not broken by challenges, they are forged by them. Long-term strategic negotiation requires vision beyond the immediate deal. True masters think years ahead. They ask, how does this deal position me? How does this relationship grow my network? How does this opportunity align with my life architecture? They sacrifice small wins for massive victories. They walk away from short-term gains that jeopardize long-term empires. Strategic negotiators understand that every agreement is a brick in the cathedral of their destiny. They do not just negotiate contracts, they negotiate futures. Every conversation, every handshake, every silent glance is part of a grander strategy for lasting wealth and profound impact. Self-concept mastery is the final frontier. You negotiate with the world according to the identity you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as powerful, valuable, and worthy, you negotiate accordingly. If you see yourself as small, desperate, or unworthy, you betray yourself in every conversation. Strategic wealth builders cultivate self-concepts of strength, vision, and infinite worth. They speak, move, and negotiate from a foundation of unshakable identity. Negotiation mastery is not just an external art, it is an internal revolution. Change your self-concept, and you change your negotiation power forever. You do not fight for victory, you embody it. Mastering negotiation as a tool for influence and wealth building is a lifelong journey. It is a craft, an art, and a science. It demands continuous sharpening, relentless self-awareness, and unwavering commitment to growth. Strategic negotiators see negotiation not as something they do, but as who they are. They breathe influence. They exude mastery. Every conversation is a canvas. Every agreement is a masterpiece. When you walk this path, wealth is no longer a distant dream. It becomes a natural byproduct of who you have become. You do not merely survive negotiations, you ascend through them into lasting greatness. Mastering negotiation is not simply about getting better deals, it is about reshaping destiny. Every negotiation hones your ability to influence, to create, to turn invisible advantages into tangible victories. Strategic negotiation transforms challenges into opportunities, doubts into confidence, scarcity into abundance. Wealth does not merely flow to those who work harder, but to those who think sharper, influence deeper, and act more strategically. True masters do not chase after success, they construct it conversation by conversation, agreement by agreement. Negotiation is not a technique to memorize, it is an identity to embody. When you truly become a master of influence, wealth, freedom, and impact follow you as inevitable consequences. You do not just live, you lead a destiny crafted by your own hands.